This is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have another special treat for you. What we're going to do is we're going to do another juice off. So we have the Omega Vert 330 HD and we have the Kuvings Silent Juicer over on this side. And what we're going to juice today are some pineapples. So we're going to juice approximately 2 pounds and 3 ounces of pineapples with the skin removed. Now normally I would juice the skin if you have an organic pineapple, but these happen to be non-organic pineapples, so I have removed the skin. Now once again, both these juicers will juice the pineapple with the skin on. I only removed them because of the toxic sprays that are on conventional pineapples. We're also going to juice for fun some blood oranges. So you can see here, I've removed the peel of the blood orange, and it's best to remove the peel or the coloring of the orange and leave as much pith on as possible. So the pith is that white part underneath the peel. The pith is edible. The peel has actually indigestible chemicals in it, and if you eat them, they'll give you bad gas. So I recommend you not juice them. So anyways, let's get juicing. What we're going to do today is use both these machines, and we're just going to juice the pineapple in one and then the other. First today, I will be using the Kuvings Silent Juicer. We're going to pull out the pusher, take our knife, and we're going to cut the pineapple in half. Now it's very important when selecting a pineapple or anything you are juicing in any juicer to basically get fresh produce. So when you're juicing in the Kuvings juicer or the Omega juicer or any juicer in general, it's always best to get fresh produce. What do I mean by fresh produce? I mean produce that's nice, firm, and fresh picked. So in the case of pineapples, you want to select nice, hard, firm pineapples. If you get ones that are old and soft and mushy, they're not going to juice quite as well. The same thing with all other fruits. If you get apples that are soft and mealy, guess what? You're going to have apple sauce instead of apple juice. So produce selection is really paramount. Once again, if you're juicing leafy greens, get nice, fresh leafy greens, not all old and wilted leafy greens. All the old and wilty leafy greens, you know, put them out in your compost pile. They're not meant for juicing. Maybe you could boil them or cook them up because they already have wilted anyways. That might work. But not in your juicer. You want to use the freshest produce possible. So in many cases, I encourage you to grow it yourself. When you are juicing pineapple, you can see we just cut the pineapple in half there. And in the middle, you might be familiar with the pineapple core. Now the core is really an important piece that you're going to need to juice when juicing in these juicers. Most juicers are optimized to juice hard root vegetables and leafy green vegetables that have hard fiber cell walls. Now pineapples, they have soft walls, soft fibers, except for this core, which has a hard fiber. So what I encourage you to do is always slice the pineapple up in such a way that you will always put a little bit of the hard fiber in when you're juicing, and I will call out when I'm doing that so you'll know exactly what I'm doing. So we're just going to go ahead and turn this piece over, and we're going to cut it into pieces that'll fit into the juicing chute. And I did have a question on this before, and I am using a ceramic knife, so I like to use ceramic knives instead of metal knives. They stay sharper longer. And soon we will be offering a really good ceramic knife from Japan. That's probably the best ceramic knife that I've ever tested. So you can see here we got all that pineapple cut up. We're going to go ahead and also cut this blood orange in half so it fits in. And check out the coloring on that blood orange. This is called a Tarraco blood orange. They also come in a Moro variety of blood orange, and that's going to add a nice color element to our pineapple juice. So now I got the pineapple all cut up. Let's go ahead and start juicing in the Kuvings Silent Juicer. First we're going to turn the machine on, running nice and smooth. Now this is called a silent juicer, but by no means is it silent. But what the manufacturer means by this is that it's quieter than most high-speed juicers. Now once again, the Kuvings Silent Juicer and the Omega Vert Juicer, to me, my untrained ears, it sounds about the same. Now we're going to go ahead and start to juice this pineapple. So now we're going to grab the outer pieces of the pineapple that really have no core. So this is basically soft pineapple. We're putting it in the machine, and check it out, it's self-feeding, going right in the machine, and we can see the pulp coming out of the machine and the juice coming out. Next, we're going to go ahead and put another piece in, and this has a small piece of the core. Now what the core pieces do is basically it provides the juicer some hard fiber to help expel the pulp out of the machine. Now we're going to use a soft piece once again And you know what? This pineapple is feeding in, basically self-feeding into the Kuvings silent juicer. So I do like that a lot when I don't have to use the pusher. Just makes things a lot easier. Here's another piece that has a little bit of core in it. Dump that in there. And it's definitely juicing up. Pulp's still coming out. The juice is coming out. Now here's the final piece of 1/2 of the pineapple with a nice solid piece of core in it. We're going to go ahead and dump that in there. And it basically chunks pieces off and pretty much self-feeding as well. Next, for fun, we're going to go ahead and put in that blood orange. So here's that blood orange, and check out the blood orange juice coming out. Look at that nice, rich, dark color. That's going to add a nice color to our pineapple juice. Next, we're going to go ahead and juice the second half of the pineapple. There is a soft piece of pineapple with no core. Once again, I'm seeing the pulp that is stopped coming out of the Kuvings silent juicer. The pulp is not coming out. Now, normally when this happens, what I like to do is get a piece with a nice solid core piece with a lot of fiber that might help to unjam the pulp that's stuck in the machine. So you could hear the juicer literally grind up the pieces of the core, and finally you can now see some of the pulp is being ejected because I did put a piece in with a lot of that hard fibrous core. So go ahead and put another piece in there. And you can see it's taken up the pineapple, and some pulp is still coming out, and the juice is still coming out. Looks like everything's working fine in the Kuvings silent juicer. The last piece of pineapple has gone in the machine. I'm going to go ahead and use the pusher to make sure it's all pushed in there. And as you can see here, the pulp has stopped coming out, and inside the machine there's a lot of pulp left over. We're going to go ahead and let that machine run a little bit more. It still is pushing some juice out. So we're just going to let that run till the juice stops flowing. Alright, let's go ahead and finally turn that machine off. We're going to tip this up. See if we get every last bit of juice out of that Kuvings juicer. So we're even going to let this sit here and let all the drips come out into the juice collection cup. Next, let's go ahead and focus our attention on the Omega Vert 330 HD juicer. Now I do want to mention that both these juicers are slow or low RPM juicers. They run at a slow 80 RPMs on average, which is how fast the gear inside the machine turns. Now in general, the slower the juicer runs, the higher the nutrient quality you're going to get. The faster the juicer spins, like 10,000 RPMs, the more oxygen or oxygenation happens to the juice that you're creating when you're busting open all the cell walls to release all the nutrients in the juice, because it's the juice of the fiber that feeds you. In any case, let's go ahead and cut open this pineapple. We're going to go ahead and once again cut that in half. And you can see here, right in the middle of this pineapple is that fibrous core that I was talking about. The fibrous core is very crucial when you're juicing pineapple in juicers like these machines, because it needs the hard fiber to help push that juice through the machine. So now we're going to go ahead and cut this up in pieces that will fit through the machine, just like we did in the Kuvings silent juicer. And once again, you know, this is 2 pounds and 3 ounces of pineapple in each machine. These pineapples were from the same batch at the grocery store. And the same thing with the blood oranges. The blood oranges, these are weighed out, and these are also from the same batch from the grocery store. I love the blood oranges. They add a nice rich color to whatever you're juicing. So next, let's go ahead and turn the Omega Vert juicer on. And you know what? It's just as loud as a silent juicer. Maybe the new name for the Omega juicer should be the Omega Vert silent juicer. In any case, once again, we're going to start juicing the pineapple with the end pieces that have no hard fibrous stem in it. So once again, you can see the juice starting to come out. That was a soft piece here. Once again, it's a soft piece. And once again, you know, normally when the pulp starts to come out, it's always going to be a little bit wet. That's just how it is. Next, we're going to put a piece with a little bit of fiber in there. And the Omega Vert juicer, once again, it is self-feeding. Does a really good job. Now, as you may notice, I am only juicing 1 pineapple in each of these juicers. The problem may arise after you juice 1 pineapple that there is a lot of things or pineapple pulp backed up in the juicer. So if you want to juice a second one, I recommend you take the juicer apart, clean it out, and then start all over again. Don't just try to feed 2 pineapples through without stopping and cleaning it out. So there you go, that's the second to the last piece of pineapple for the first half. This is the last piece of pineapple. Once again, you can see the core piece in there. We're going to dump that in there. And you could literally hear the juicer chunk off pieces of that core and separate the juice from the fiber. And you know, if you've never had straight up pineapple juice, it's absolutely amazing. The one funny story I can tell you is that my mom is from Hawaii, and she used to work in the pineapple factory in Hawaii, so she like hates all things pineapple. Alright, so here's a piece going into the Omega Vert juicer. And you can see here the fiber is still coming out of the Omega Vert juicer, and so is the juice. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the blood orange in. There you go, the nice colorful blood orange. And let's watch that juice come out. As soon as we put that blood orange in, you can see within seconds that dark, rich red blood orange juice starts to come out of the Omega Vert juicer. Next, we're going to go ahead and put another piece of pineapple in the Omega Vert juicer. Once again, sucks it right in, and as you can see, the pulp is still coming out. Now, what I want to point out on this is you can see the pulp coming out, but if you look really closely, you can see the pulp is only coming out of half of the whole ejection port. The whole ejection port is this wide, and pulp's only coming out on half of it. And this is completely normal. This is no reason to be alarmed. As long as pulp is still moving out of the ejection port, it may not flow out of the whole thing, but as long as it's flowing out of half, that's still fine, and it's still working fine. So that was the last piece of pineapple through the Omega Vert juicer. We're going to go ahead and let that run a little bit more to let all that juice come out. And then we're going to do a comparison to see which juicer yielded more pineapple juice when juicing 2 pounds, 3 ounces of pineapple, and 2.5 ounces of Taraco blood orange. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn that Omega Vert juicer off. We're going to tip it up, get a couple drips. So we just got done juicing the pineapple in the Omega Vert juicer and the Kuvings silent juicer. Next, we're going to go ahead and take both juices apart and see how much pulp residue still is contained within each juicer. Now, this is what you will have to clean once you're done juicing, and both these juicers always contain a little bit of pulp left over that did not get juiced. So let's go ahead, take these apart one by one, and show you what we got. First, we're going to take apart the Omega Vert juicer. We could take off the lid there. Not a whole lot of pulp left in the lid. Next, we could pull out this auger assembly, and you could see here in the auger assembly, we could pull this out, and you can see the screen. And you know, there is a little bit of pulp left in here. Let's go ahead and carefully scoop this out onto the cutting board to show you guys what's left over in the Omega Vert juicer. That's what's on the auger, and here's what's in the screen. You know, this pulp is going to be a little bit wet because it just did not get juiced through the juicer, because, you know, to have that juice, you need to put more food in the juicer to help it push through. The other thing you can do is pour a little bit of water through, but then you're going to be diluting your juice with water, and that'll also help to push that pulp through. Next, let's take a look at the Kuvings silent juicer and see what's left. We could pull the top off. Once again, there's not a whole lot of pulp left in the top. Now let's pull out this auger and the screen. And once again, this auger and the screen are larger than the Omega Vert juicer, so it only makes sense to me that more pulp is going to be contained within this. But you know what? Let's check it out and find out for sure. So here is the pulp contained in the auger of the Kuvings silent juicer. Now, once again, when you are cleaning these juicers, both these juicers come with a special cleaning brush that will help you clean the juicers, especially the screen, which is the hardest part to clean. So here's the screen of the Kuvings silent juicer. We're going to go ahead and take the pulp out of the Kuvings silent juicer screen and see how much is left over that did not get ejected from the juicer. I pretty much got all the pulp that was contained in the Kuvings silent juicer. We made a little pulp cake with that. And let me show you guys the difference. Basically, looks like there's more pulp in the Kuvings silent juicer left over. Now, I wouldn't say it's double the pulp. I'd maybe say it's about 25% more pulp. So let me go ahead and tip that up there if you guys could see that a little bit better. Maybe 25% more pulp left in the Kuvings silent juicer that was not juiced. So what does this mean? This means that, you know, maybe some of the extra yield it would have gotten did not come out because it was left inside the machine. With the Omega Vert, less pulp was left inside the machine. So now let's go over the results. On this side we have the juice from the Omega Vert juicer, and on this side we have the results from the Kuvings silent juicer. We could go ahead and put those side by side. Now on the Omega Vert juicer, we got a total of 3.5 cups of juice overall, with a nice layering of foam section for about 1 cup. So we have a total real value of approximately 2.5 cups of juice. On the Kuvings silent juicer, once again, we have approximately 3.5 cups, or just under 3.5 cups of total juice, and just under 2.5 cups of the real juice, not including the foam layer. So you can see both juicers did fairly well at juicing this pineapple, and they were really close within each other. But overall, I'd say, you know, the Omega Vert made like that much more juice. The other thing we didn't test this time was actually the juice consistency, because we didn't actually use a sieve to catch the juice. So I'm going to do that with my good old taste buds, because I love pineapple juice. So let's go ahead and taste this. Pineapple blood orange juice. My favorite. That juice didn't seem to have too much fiber in it. Let's check this one. That juice had a little bit more fiber than the Omega Vert, which may artificially inflate the total yield. So if you like fiber in your juice, the Kuvings silent juicer is going to be better for you. If you want overall more yield, I still believe the Omega Vert is going to be the best juicer for you. So hope you've enjoyed this episode learning more about the Kuvings silent juicer and the Omega Vert juicer, and which one will yield more when juicing pineapples. So once again, this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.